Alrighty guys, welcome back to MesaMakes. This week we're going to be doing some things a little bit different. We're not going to be doing the assembly series. We're not going to be doing the boot camp. Today I actually had the privilege of teaching a class for ag teachers at our regional CATA fall meeting. I had about 40 or 50 people in there, and honestly it was a packed house and it was a great time. Those of you guys that came by, sorry if I didn't get to answer every single question. I kind of like the teaching style of letting you work and play and figuring out what you don't know, and that question and answer session at the end was really great. Unfortunately, my equipment didn't work very well. You can see we're in the hotel at this conference, so I'm not at home and things don't always work tied right when they're... Anyways, we had some questions that come up and everybody was saying, hey, I really like these packets that you put out, and I really like the workouts, and I really like the 3D models and stuff that you do, but like my kids can draw stuff and pretty much all we can do is make flat 2D signs, and I want to show them how to do more projects and how can we build projects in here. And so that's kind of what we're going to do today. I'm stealing or borrowing from my good friend Toby over at tootalltoby.com. He does this on his YouTube channel on Model Monday. If you join his YouTube channel at the buy him a coffee level, he will make you a custom model. This one isn't for me, it's for another user named Rigoberto, but it's all a project we could totally make in the shop. So it's a little bench all made out of plain carbon steel, and the highlight of this project is that everything is based off of 3x3 square tubing. So I had some people ask about how to do assemblies and how to do projects and how to do all that. So I kind of wanted to do one amalgamation of all those comments and questions we had, kind of show how to do this, because I feel like you could turn this into a wood project very, very easily, and this will kind of help with everybody. So in the true, American Thanksgiving way, this being Thanksgiving week coming up, let's try to do as much as we can in one plate, so to speak, and let's get this thing done. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this sketch and we're going to draw a 3x3 rectangle. We're going to do radius on all the corners, a fillet of 0.5, then we're going to offset by 0.25, and that's going to give us our cross section. And basically, if you think about like the old school like Play-Doh Fun Factory, what's going to happen there is if we took a star shape and I put a bunch of Play-Doh behind it and then brought the plunger down, it's going to shoot the Play-Doh out in that star shape. And so we're going to do the same thing, except we're going to make it look like a piece of square tubing, and we're going to go along accordingly. So after we do that, we're going to come in, and this is the kind of the game plan portion. We're going to make some lines that are 50 inches long. We're going to do a linear pattern to get our tabletop, our bench top. Then we're going to flip over to the bottom side, and we're going to draw some lines to give ourselves these side pieces, and then we're going to add our cross member this way. Then we'll add our legs, and we should be pretty much good to go, and then we're going to jump into the assembly and kind of show that. And I might do this as kind of like a two-parter. We'll do this part, show you how to draw it, and then I'll send it into a two-part assembly type deal. So let's jump into Onshape, and we will get started. So first thing we need to do, like I said, top plane, Shift S, N to normalize, P to hide those planes, and we're going to start with a center point rectangle by pressing the letter R. R on our keyboard. We're going to click 3, enter, 3, enter, and now I will go Shift and F. I'm going to round all these corners, click all 4 corners, and type in 0.5. If at any point you feel like I'm going a little too fast, I am going to offset, or I will feel free to pause anytime you want and kind of go. So our next step, we're going to offset this, and we need to offset by 0.25. Luckily, that's the default. So either way, 0.25, enter. And if we look, it's because that wall thickness is 1/4 inch. So afterwards, I'm going to rename my sketch to profile 3 by 3 by 0.25 SQTUBE, square tube. There we go. Okay, and you'll see what's nice is it actually shows that there. We'll click that green check mark. Now, habitually, you'll want to draw in this. A lot of you people you have seen in my classes and stuff, you've wanted to draw all in the same part studio. They don't cost anything. So come down here, insert new tab, and we're going to draw a new part studio, create part studio. And now we're going to draw on our top plane, Shift and S, and to normalize P to hide those planes. And we're going to draw a line that is 50 inches long. However, we're going to use a special line called the midpoint line. So we're going to click that tool there, click our midpoint, go out, type 50. And what that does is it makes it perfectly centered 25 one direction, 25 the other, without having me to add a midpoint constraint. Next thing we're going to do is select the green check mark. And now we're going to come up here to the best part of this, and we're going to click this frame tool. So we're going to click frame. And now it's going to ask me, I like going in order on these things. It says select sketch. We're going to click current document, and we'll click our profile from our part studio. Now, a couple of things to note is you can use the libraries, and you can come through here and say, maybe I want this to be out of this extruded like 80-20 aluminum type stuff. Maybe I want just straight rectangular bar. Problem is it doesn't always have every size, and so I feel like I end up drawing most of them anyways. So this is how I do that. I'm going to just click that profile that we made, and now selections, I'm going to pick that bar, and since we're looking at this from the top, we do want that centered, but I actually want that to be centered on that top. You'll see we have these 9 little pips. Think like kind of like a dice. You have all the little dots. Well, it's upper right here, or upper left, upper middle, upper right, middle left, middle middle, middle right, lower left, lower middle, lower right. So you select which ones you want to do, and then we're going to say accept. Now I have my tube perfectly centered. So next thing I'm going to do is do a linear pattern tool. So if we come and look at our tabletop, we know I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bars side by side for a total of 15. If we do 5 bars divided by, or 15 inches divided by 5 bars, it gives us 3-inch spacing, which, ta-da, our tube is 3 by 3. So we're not going to gap it. It's going to be exactly face to face to face. So we come back over. I'm going to pattern this part in, and it's asking for a direction. That just means you have to click a line to follow. So we're going to follow that direction that way, and you'll see now it's going to align it. Next thing we want to do is make sure we click centered. We're going to tell it our distance of 3 inches apart, and you'll see it's spaced. Now the problem is we need 5. Oh, make sure 3. There we go. We need 5 of these, but if I type 5, that gives me way more than 5. It's giving me 1 in the center plus 4 one direction and 4 the other direction. So we need a total of 5. So we need to say 3, and I get 2 one way, 1 in the center, and 2 the other way. And if we look down here at my parts list, I only have 5 parts. So now we can accept it, and we have those patterned without having to draw 5 individual lines and worry about getting it. So next thing we're going to do is flip over to the bottom, and we're going to pray Shift and S, and to normalize. And next thing we're going to do is draw a line. And honestly, I'm going to do this in a couple of ways. I could try to sit here and fight and get this to touch this, but I want to show you how this frame piece works. So we know that that frame needs to be from here to here, needs to be a certain measurement, but we don't quite know what that measurement is. And if I were to mirror it, I would do that accordingly. And if we look here, I could do the math. We could say 37 plus 3 gives us 40, plus another 3 gives us 43. 43 subtracted from 50 ends up giving me 7. Divided in half gives me 3.5. So it's going to be 3.5 from the end here. But how many of you guys want to do that kind of math, right? So instead of doing that, we're going to go and we're going to just say, hey, I know the line from here to here needs to be 37 divided by 2. 18.5. We have a function there, and we'll say accept. So now we're going to do the frame tool. We're going to say select frame and select sketch, current document, profile, and now we're going to say limit frame ends. Now what's going to happen is I can select these faces to limit my frame. The problem is it kind of isn't. Oh, we're going to move it from this point too. That's what we need to. Oh, come on, there we go. We need to make sure that we're aligned on that pip because that's where we did our 37. But as far as limiting those frame ends, the reason we want to do that is because it will cut it to the exact length that we have. Now the problem with that is that maybe I want to come back in and change this later and say, oh no, I want 5 instances. Well, because we didn't set that up in a way, it's not going to add those extra ones. So we need to actually undo that, and we would have to fix our sketch and say, you know, match a dimension or be a certain size. But just to show you how kind of quick we can do that, I'm going to do it how we just did. So we're going to leave that there. And now we need to draw our, if we look back at here, we need to draw some lines down 9 and on the outside. So if we go from our left view, I'm going to draw a line or a sketch. And I'm going to draw a line from here. And I'm going to go a little further down. I'm going to go down and say 9. But I'm going to tell it that this point and that point need to coincide with one another, because we need that at the bottom of that frame there, like so. So I'm giving it an exact dimension this time. I could go ahead and mirror this over, and I'm actually gonna, I'll mirror that line right now to kind of show you why you don't want to do that in the frame tool. Mirror. We'll turn the planes back on. We're gonna mirror over that plane, mirror that line. That way they're equal. And we'll say OK. Except I'm going to select both of those lines. We're going to say frame. Same thing as before, current document, profile. Now, which one do we pick? Do we pick the outermost corner? Yes. But now that one's off. And if I do, okay, well, I'll do that way. Well, now that one's off. So instead of picking both, pick one. Make sure it's aligned how it needs to be aligned. Accept it. And then this is when we mirror. So we're going to go here, mirror, entities to mirror. I want to mirror this part. And we're going to mirror it over what plane? Turn those planes back on. Over that front plane. And you'll see it's going to throw another one here. But make sure we say new and not add. And now we have our piece done like so. So at this point, we're going to do another mirror. And I'm going to mirror this time over, I'm going to mirror all these parts. So we're going to click both blue legs and that gray cross beam. And I'm going to mirror it over the right plane. And you'll see now I have it on both sides. And now all we need to do, let's normalize that view. I can draw a line on a new sketch. So we'll start a new sketch. I think I broke the hotel Wi-Fi. There we go. Start a new sketch on this face. And what we're going to do, make it simple, we'll just center it. I need a line from here all the way across, and wouldn't you know it, it's 37. If I come up here and I take a look, that's exactly what we need to be, center to center, so we know everything is correct there. I'm going to say OK, select that line, and go into my frame tool, select a sketch, current document, profile 3x3, and this time we can leave it centered, but we need to be center on the outside line like so, and we'll say accept, and now I'm starting to get my piece like so. Now last but not least, we're going to press P, turn those planes back on. I'm going to click the front plane, mirror over that front plane. What are we going to mirror? That new gray bar that we made, and we're going to mirror over, again like I said, that front plane like so. We'll accept it, and now we have our bench made for Rigo the way it was designed. Okay, now this is great. However, when we go to make these things, we might need a cut list, we might need whatever, and we want to know how to assemble it. And I find that when I teach this stuff in class and I make kids actually assemble it in Onshape, they don't make as many mistakes when they assemble it in the real world. They've already kind of screwed up on here and figured out how it should go together, and they can kind of go from there. So next thing we're going to do is go into assembly, and how are we doing on time? We're at 18 minutes. I did an hour last week, so we should be all right. I'm going to insert my whole part studio into that document. Now it looks good. Why do we need to assemble it? Well, I want to see, maybe I can move some stuff around. Oh, well, now once I start doing this, everything gets all wonky. Nothing is touching anymore the way we just drew it. I just destroyed everything. Everything's just floating into space, and we do not like that. So that can't exist. Those two can't happen like that. So how are we going to fix this? I'm going to undo everything, bring it back to normal, and I'm going to insert Part Studio again. But this time, before we do it, I'm going to click my first piece here and my origin. I'm going to right click and say, where'd it go? Right click that piece and say fix. So now if I move this piece or this piece or this piece or this piece or any of these other pieces, I can select multiple too. If I move any of those, they all move together. If I move any of those, they all move together. But this one cannot move because it's fixed in place. So we're going to base everything around that. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is do this fastened mate. So if you take a look up here, we're going to click fastened mate. And what we're going to do is we're going to rebuild this thing. And this is a pretty nice little deal. We might have to bring some math back into it. But what we're going to do here is we're going to click this face. So I'm going to come over here, kind of hover over that, and you'll see all these little dots pop up. Well, if I hold shift, I can then come in and click that face there, and then I'm going to align it with that point right there. And because we selected two dots that would be right next to each other, we are good to go. So now we'll click OK, and I'm going to do it again. So we'll go ahead and fasten all of these like so, from that dot to that dot. We're going to do there to there. We'll say yep, and we'll do there to there. So we have our tabletop done. Cool. Next thing we need to do is we kind of got to make this subframe down here, right? So how this is going to work is we're going to pick that same pip on the side like that. So from there, but instead of going side by side, this time we're going to go on this side right here and select OK like that. Once we do that, you'll see that that is now attached. We're going to do the same thing. Actually, sorry, I did that one wrong. Let's undo that last one. We're going to have to do it in reverse. So we're going to do from here and there, like so. So again, we'll grab that piece here, and I want that face, that little point, to be aligned with that point right there. There we go. And now we're good to go. And I could do the full relation, and I could tell it, okay, that one now to that one. But if one part's welded or tacked or whatever, you can kind of get away with doing the same thing. Now, this is where things get a little tricky, okay? How do you put a nice rounded edge up against here? Well, you can kind of make a judgment call and go either make like a virtual sharp, or you can do an offset of some sort. Personally, I would just rotate to a face that I know matches a face, like a flat side matches a flat side. But let's show you kind of how you could do that virtual sharp type thing. So I'm going to say, hey, from that corner and that corner need to match. Well, what starts happening is if we press solve, it's going to rotate all that. Well, I don't want that. I need these things to rotate in the direction that I need them to be. So it should be like that. Solve. And then I can offset by, if we look here, I have my Y direction, so I can tell it 1.5, but negative 1.5, and now they're lined up the way they need to be. And I can say okay. The problem is now I just rotated my whole subframe, so I don't recommend doing that. Like I said, if you can get away with finding a flat piece, that's going to probably be your best bet. So good mate right here, boom, and boom. Now those are all solved and we're good to go. Same thing here. We'll do that side and that side. Accept it. This one I can do, and I'm going to show you what happens if I do the wrong order. So I click that face. I'm going to click that face right there and that face right there. Well, that's not where I want it. So these are here. I can flip the axis or just use the rotation, but that's flipping around that way. So we need to flip it and rotate it, and that'll bring us to where we need to be underneath. So we'll accept that one. And same thing here, that point and that point right there. So accept. We have our subframe. If we come out real quick, all of these tabletop pieces are attached to one another. So I can't move them any direction because that one in the center is fixed and those are fastened to that one in the middle. However, this whole subframe I can move. Now, I know we were just showing you guys offset, so what we're going to do is I want to say, hey, this point right here and this center point right there. If we say solve, that's good. However, we're inside, so now we're going to have to do an offset. And what's cool is you can do multiple offsets at a time. So Y, I need to go down 1.5 on my Y-axis. So negative 1.5. I can say solve. It'll bring everything else with it. And that is good. However, I need to go over, and we did the math earlier, on my Z, 3.5, but negative 3.5. We'll swap directions, we'll say solve, and you'll say okay. And now this whole thing is fastened. Now, in order to check where we're actually at, I can do a measurement, and I can say, hey, from this face to this face, what do we got? 3.5. Well, Okay, 3.5 plus 3.5 is going to give me my 7. Plus 3 gives me 10. Plus another 3 is 13. Plus our 37 in the middle. 37 and 13 is going to be 30, and 10 is 40. And the 7 and the 3 is going to give us another 10, which brings us to 50. Sorry, I got ahead of myself. Which is our total length of the thing. So I have my tabletop drawing all fastened. Now if I go to check, I can't move anything. No part that I pick is going to let me move it, because one thing is fastened to the other, fastened to the other, fastened to the other, fastened to the other. So there we have it. That is how you take from a simple sketch, drawing your own part, turning it into an extrusion, making multiple parts, and actually making it together to be able to be turned into a drawing. So our actual product. So at this point I could be able to turn it into a drawing for a print to give to kids for plans. What I like to do is, if kids are making this, actually I would start with this subframe, so I could come in and like click all my legs, and I want to hide all of those, because if I were to build this, I wouldn't start with my legs. And if I wanted to hide my tabletop, I could come in and do that. So parts 1 through 5, hide all of those. Then I could come in and make a drawing and say, make this first. And so some of you guys were asking, I know somebody reached out and asked how I got those woodshop drawings that I shared with Facebook the other day, the ruler box drawings. And this is what I did. I literally went in, print screen, let it catch up. There we go. And I took a screenshot, and then I throw those onto a PowerPoint or a Google Slides using the snipping tool. And then I would show each step along the way. So you can kind of show your own like assembly. I think like Lego assembly directions. But yeah, pretty simple little project, pretty cool little project. Definitely falls in the ag mechanics vein, where it's extremely over engineered. It's going to be a little heavy. I know Toby's more of a, he kind of lives in the design world, and I think he did mostly plastics and stuff is what he dealt with, and some sheet metal, smaller, thinner stuff. This would be a super heavy table bench. I'm thinking outdoor, hopefully, but a lot of what we do in the shop classes, we all know our shop kids end up making things way heavier. They weld every single seam they can because they want as much welding time and rod time or MIG time as they can. So that's going to do it for us tonight. Again, thank you guys so much that came to my training. If you guys are looking for the mouse pads, any of the merch that I had, I know I have my shirt on today. I was going to show that other mouse pad, but I think I moved it. Anyways, if you're looking for any of that merch, check out mesa-makes-shop.fourthwall.com. I have all kinds of stuff on there. My newest videos are on there. It's kind of just a nice little hub. Get yourself a coffee cup, get yourself a desk mat, and go from there. So thank you guys again, and we'll bring back the old motto, you know, it's not about having time, it's about making time, and I think that's what we proved today. So you guys have a good night or day or whatever it happens to be where you're at. Take care.